Welcome back. U.S. Special Envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, and Ambassador to Israel, Mike Huckabee, visiting Gaza today to inspect aid distribution sites as the region is now facing a starvation crisis. Witkoff meeting Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in Israel yesterday, discussing the humanitarian situation and a possible ceasefire. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt gave more details yesterday. Watch.
Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee had a very productive meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu and other officials today in Israel on the topic of delivering much-needed food and aid to Gaza. President Trump is a humanitarian with a big heart, and that's why he sent Special Envoy Witkoff to the region in an effort to save lives and end this crisis. Special Envoy Witkoff and Ambassador Huckabee will be traveling into Gaza to inspect the current distribution sites and secure a plan to deliver more food and meet with local Gazans to hear firsthand about this dire situation on the ground. The Special Envoy and the Ambassador will brief the President immediately after their visit to approve a final plan for food and aid distribution into the region.
Now, President Trump wrote on Truth Social, the fastest way to end the humanitarian crisis in Gaza is for Hamas to surrender and release the hostages. Here's the president yesterday.
It's terrible what's occurring there, yeah. It's a terrible thing. People are very hungry. You know, the United States gave $60 million for food, and it's a shame because nobody, I don't see the results of it. And we gave it to people that in theory are watching over it fairly closely. We wanted Israel to watch over it. Part of the problem is Hamas is taking the money and they're taking the food. But we gave $60 million a couple of weeks ago. Nobody said anything about it. Nobody said thank you. But I didn't need the thank you. I just wanted the people to get fed. And we're helping out financially with that situation. It's a terrible situation.
And when I spoke with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu recently, he said that the problem with Hamas being in charge of the food distribution is that they steal the food and then sell it back to Gazans. Joining me now is the Heritage Foundation Vice President of National Security, Victoria Coates. Victoria, great to see you. Thanks for being here. Your reaction to all of this?
Well, good morning, Maria. Yes, I mean, this situation in Gaza is just outrageous. This has been going on for decades, where you've had Hamas and the United Nations agencies that oversee this so-called aid, siphoning it off, as you said, selling it back to the Gazans, profiting off their misery. And that's the paradigm President Trump is trying to break. And so we're using new mechanisms like the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, run by my friend Johnny Moore, who was at Heritage yesterday, speaking on this topic, trying to get food to these desperately needy people. And the president's right. It's a terrible situation. It shouldn't be happening. We should be able to help.
Now, what do you make of the Palestinian situation? The State Department has sanctioned the Palestinian Authority officials and suspended their visas, saying that they are supporting terrorism, they are violating long-term peace commitments. It comes after Canada, the UK, and France have now vowed to recognize a Palestinian state in September if a ceasefire is not reached, Victoria.
It's really through the looking glass, Maria. I mean, they were rewarding Hamas for essentially attacking Israel on October 7th. Hamas, which is still holding 20 living hostages and some number of bodies. And as the president declared yesterday, the way out of this is to pressure Hamas, is for them to release the hostages, for them to disarm. They started this, they should end it. And the fact that you have countries like Canada, the UK, and France who should know better, suggesting that these people are somehow capable of governing a state within the boundaries of our great good friend and ally Israel, it just makes no sense. And so, fortunately, the president said, we are absolutely not going to do it. And it's another reason I'm so glad we don't have President Kamala Harris, because she would recognize that state.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's Iran, and the foreign minister is demanding that the U.S. pay compensation for the damage done to their nuclear sites. This is rich. He says the U.S. needs to pay before any discussions can restart between the two countries. A top U.S. State Department official calls the demands ridiculous, Victoria. How do you see things?
Yeah, I think that's one check President Trump is not going to write, is to the Iranians for their nuclear program. I think they were exposed 2 months ago when he took that very decisive action to demolish those nuclear sites and end the 12-day war, that they are absolutely weak. They can't do anything about either Israeli or American incursions into their airspace. So, the president has reserved the right to go back in if there's material that hasn't been destroyed. And, if the Iranians would like to come to the table and come to a reasonable deal with no domestic enrichment, but they can keep a civil nuclear program like normal countries like UAE and Canada have, that he's open to that. But, short of that, I don't see him writing that check, as I said.
Yeah, I mean, Victoria, the president has strengthened his relationships with so many Middle Eastern nations right now in terms of getting their help in this conflict before they actually went into Iran. But the New York Times is criticizing the Abraham Accords. What do you want to say about the Abraham Accords and about President Trump's efforts here on peace?
Now, this was really amazing. About 2 weeks ago, the New York Times published a long-form article about how the Abraham Accords had failed because there was no deal with the Palestinians. Well, that was the whole point, was that the Arab nations and Israel weren't going to give the Palestinians a veto anymore over normalization deals. And we're coming up, it's amazing, on the 5th anniversary of those peace accords that they say have failed. No, they've endured through 2 years now of war. The Israeli stock market is booming. Investment is coming into Israel from Arab neighbors. Trade is continuing.
That's right.
So this is a great news story. And so I think we can look forward to more peace deals. I hope Special Envoy Witkoff can turn to those going forward, the more positive side of his ledger. And we can see President Trump, as the deal maker in chief, bring more peace to the region.
And of course, the president did confirm yesterday that Witkoff will travel to Russia next as the U.S. pushes for that peace deal there. The president is doubling down on his August 8th sanction deadline for Russia, demanding the Kremlin end the war. Victoria, we know that when the president gave Iran a 60-day period, he meant it. On day 61, Israel went in there into Iran. Now he's giving Russia a 50-day warning. I think we're down to what, 15 days or something. What are you expecting here?
No, I think Special Envoy Witkoff can convey to President Putin what the parameters are of the economic sanctions package that's being prepared. And the key thing there, as we've discussed, are the secondary sanctions that'll hit countries like India, a friend of the United States, China, a competitor to the United States. But they can both put pressure on Russia to wrap this up. And I think Putin is seeing some red lights flashing on his economy, so that this may actually have an effect.
All right, we will see. Victoria, great to catch up. We so appreciate your insights on all of this. Thank you.
Thank you, Maria.
All right, Victoria Coates, stay with us. We'll be right back.